Hello again. Just out here doing some work in the greenhouse tonight. Sometimes it's just the best time to get to it. I was reading Genesis chapter 32 today. It's where Jacob had his family and they were crossing the river. And he set his wives and his servants and all his goods across the river. His key relationships, those possessions which he was invested in, separated them from himself. And he stayed on the first side of the river. And then all night, he fought with God. Well, when I was young, I thought, well, how would you fight with God and not just lose in a millionth of a second? And as I got older, I realized you couldn't possibly fight with God unless God intended it to happen. And you think that's a pretty singular event, but not really. You see, there have been many times throughout my life. I started out in one whole branch of Christianity, and I moved from there to somewhere else, and then to somewhere else. A lot of struggle, a lot of turmoil, a lot of changes in how I saw God. A lot of wrestling. I know a lot of people that they've been in the same church affiliation for the last 20, 30 years or so. Nope, no possibility of ever changing that. No consideration. They learned the fundamentals of their belief system 30 years ago, and they just hold to it like it's set in concrete. And they've never had a struggle with God that was a deep, wrenching wrestling match. That when you come out the other side, you don't hold those beliefs exactly as you did before, because you've grown. And I wonder about those people, because I am convinced that it's necessary to have these times in your life. Anything that's alive grows. The most beautiful flowers on the dining room table are the ones made of plastic. But something that is alive, be it a bug, a plant, or a Christian, grows. And there's changes. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's changes to the core things you believe, but there is change to how you hold those beliefs. And it should grow. And you should have this wrestling match with God. When the fight was over, Jacob was touched on the hip, put his hip out of joint, so he'd never forget. And for the rest of his life, he would never walk the same.